Hi, everyone. Is Drop the worst date night movie to hit theaters or one of the best? I found myself asking just that question as I left the theater. On the surface, Drop has everything you could want in a date night film. Two really attractive leads who are both real cool, a trendy restaurant setting with a killer menu, a tense, if not romantic vibe, and a ticking clock thriller plot. Underneath all of that is something a bit darker, something that I really wasn't prepared for, and something that I think some people need to know about before they buy a ticket for this film. And I'm not just talking about the things that worked with the plot or the things that failed, but we'll get into that too. And just a little heads up here, there's going to be a couple spoilers. So nothing to ruin the film. Most of this is already in the trailer anyway. You kind of already figure out how everything's going to turn out just from watching the trailer. But a few little spoilers to talk about these things that I think are actually pretty big issues with the film. But let's not jump ahead. So, Drop. What's this romantic date night thriller all about? Well, it stars Meghann Fahy as Violett, this widowed mother who's finally stepping back into the dating world, and Brandon Sklenar, who plays her date, Henry, this handsome, charming, genuinely likable guy who has his own secrets. And after 3 months of talking online, the two of them finally agree to meet at this high rise restaurant, ready for a quiet and romantic evening together. However, as the night unfolds, Violet starts receiving these strange text messages through this peer to peer app called Drop. At first, they're just annoying texts. Then they become more threatening, making it clear that if she doesn't follow the instructions exactly, step by step, there's this masked man in her house who's going to kill her sister and her son. The most clever thing about the film is the technology and how the bad guy was able to pair Violet's phone to keep her on a digital leash. This is a tight premise with a familiar story structure that really plays on the fear of invasion and the illusion of digital safety. The restaurant becomes a small, confined setting that's really perfect for a thriller to just heighten the tension and is right in line with films like Phone Booth and Speed. Like those movies, Drop kind of follows that same formula with a character who's trapped in a situation beyond their control, manipulated by a mysterious stranger, and who is forcing them to choose between morality and survival. Despite some of the flaws, there are things in the film that actually work really well. For instance, the casting is great. Meghann Fahy and Brandon Sklenar, they are a great couple in this film. It was a really good move to cast them, especially for a date night film, because they have great on-screen chemistry. Their energy on screen together or separately even is really strong enough to carry the whole movie, especially during the early flirtier scenes before things start going sideways. The restaurant environment is also really well done. It has a real sense of liveliness to it, and the mix of patrons is well chosen, from annoying barflies to awkward first dates and other overconfident lounge lizards. It captures that emotional mix that you get when you're trying to connect with someone new in a public space that's full of strangers and distractions, which kind of makes it the perfect setting for this movie, since everyone seems like they could be the mysterious stranger who's responsible for Violet's terror drops. That said, it's also a little too much. Every single character is a caricature of the type of person that they represent in this restaurant, from the obnoxious and weird to the overly dramatic and self absorbed. Worse, the waiter kind of feels like he's practicing for his night at the improv instead of doing his job. But hey, it's actually kind of funny when he crawls out from under a table in this one scene. You'll know what I mean when you see it. The tension would have hit a lot harder if a few of these people had just been a little more kind of normal. So now let's just talk tech, which, I was wait. Look at my cat. She's like going crazy back there. Kensington, what are you doing? Apparently, she's not like really keen on this review. So don't take my cat's advice, take mine. So let's talk about the tech, which is always my favorite part of the movie. I really liked how they used the Drop app because it felt real and it felt plausible under the right circumstances. In the film, Violett receives a game-like invitation that kind of pops up with this accept or decline option. But that kind of message, it wouldn't just appear out of the blue. Her phone was either already compromised through some malicious link that she tapped earlier on, or there was a vulnerable Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection that was exploited, or more likely, there was the use of some kind of government level spyware like Pegasus. And that kind of surveillance software is incredibly difficult to obtain. So could have been like a black market thing. You never find out, but you have to be aware that that kind of stuff is available in order to know that what's happening here is plausible. Given the fact that the bad guy was also able to break into another person's phone in the restaurant so easily, it seems like he was definitely using some kind of spyware. So, yeah, this aspect of the film taps into real fears about privacy and surveillance. And that's part of the plot that's really scary and really relevant and really well done. And it nails Violett's phone and she pulls it off really well. Meghann Fahy does a great job with that. However, while the setup for the plot is solid, the execution of it sometimes gets a little bit sloppy. Violett misses these obvious opportunities to signal for help, as well as some of the obvious options that didn't work out. Also, Henry really should have picked up on how bizarrely she was acting. She was suddenly very distracted, and she was lying, obviously, looking over her shoulder constantly, and glued to her phone. If your date is acting like they're in the middle of a horror movie and is saying they're fine with a forced smile on their face, and someone is kind of sending these awkward texts to them that are coming through on their phone, I think maybe Henry, maybe take some initiative, like making a tasteful exit to get outside of that 50-foot radius and call the cops because she's clearly freaking out about something and her son is the thing that's on her mind. So put two and two together. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, there's even a moment where she kisses Henry to keep him from leaving. It's kind of a cool, cute little romantic moment, but she did it per the instructions of the bad guy. And it's actually the perfect time for her to kind of lean in and whisper, "Someone's in my house. I'm being watched. Call the cops." But no, she missed that easy answer. Worse, if you're on a date and you get a weird text, just turn off your phone, guys. Just turn it off. I get the whole thing about wanting to be reachable because of her son, but she can always turn her phone back on later and make a call when she has a moment. And her sister knows where she is, and her sister can always call the restaurant in case of an emergency. So there's really no reason to leave your phone on the entire time if someone is harassing you in the middle of a date. Just turn it off. However, if she did that, I guess we wouldn't really have a movie. So instead of smart moves, we get kind of these panicky moves that help make the plot possible and plausible. Then there's that little twist with the SIM card in Henry's camera. He's a photographer, and the bad guy wants her to destroy the SIM in his camera to stop him from turning over evidence. Now, not actually sure if that SIM in the camera had all the evidence or not, because if it did, why would it still be in the camera? And how does the bad guy know that that is in the camera? And if that is where the evidence is stored, I mean, if it's that important, wouldn't Henry have already handed it over to the authorities since he is a witness for some important case? Or why not just hide it in your wallet or put it somewhere that's on you at all times so that you never have to worry about anyone stealing it from you? So, in that way, the logic just doesn't hold up as well. And I got to say, even with the flaws, though, the thing that really kills me is the plot hole that was big enough for the bad guy to fall through. And maybe he kind of literally did. I mean, I get it. It's a movie, and I'm willing to suspend my disbelief, but the physics in the climax just don't work. Skyscrapers are not pressurized like airplanes, and the natural airflow and wind outside, while it does create a little bit of a suction around the building itself, and with the pressure of the air inside of the building, even together, they aren't nearly strong enough to blow out a window, even after it being broken and spiderwebbing for some reasons that I'm not getting into because I don't want to give too many spoilers. But here's the thing, there's no realistic reason for the window to explode outward with such force that it could possibly suck a person through it. That's just not how the stack effect works in these kinds of situations. And the stack effect is basically with the air pressure inside the building kind of building up and blowing out, or, depending on the time of the year, the air pressure outside the building increasing or decreasing. I mean, it's far too complicated to talk about here, but let's just know that that's not possible. And even the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world at 828 meters, and it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen with that building on the top floor either. And the skyscraper in Drop, where they are having their dinner, is not the Burj Khalifa. Sure, having the glass shatter is super dramatic. And honestly, it was kind of fun and interesting and exciting to see it all happen. But it just wouldn't have created that suction to pull a person out. And there's the scene, you can even see it in the trailer, where Violett is kind of thrown or falling out the window, and she spins around and grabs that, what was it, like a tablecloth, and she's dangling outside the window. I just, logically, come on, the physics, they just don't make sense. But I get it. The movie clearly wanted a big moment to have Henry or somebody come in and save her and pull her back in the building. I get it. It was exciting. It really was exciting. Still, I could have forgiven a lot of these plot holes because they did add some interesting elements to the movie. But they weren't the only problem. And they weren't even the biggest problem. Here's kind of where I need to talk about some really real stuff and reveal a little bit of something about me in order to make my point about why this next issue is an issue. When I walked into Drop, I expected a fun date night thriller because there really aren't that many out in theaters right now. They tend to get released on streaming. And for like a first or second date, it's really not useful. It's great to go out to a movie, go to dinner, get to know a person. So when I see a date night film is being released, I do get excited for people because we don't have enough of those kinds of opportunities nowadays. So I'm like, great, this is going to be good. Something with a little danger, something with a little chemistry, maybe with a few twists. What I didn't expect was the domestic violence storyline. It's not in the trailer or in the movie description either. But right in the opening scene, we see Violett being physically beaten. And through flashbacks through the rest of the film, it becomes clear that this was her husband who was beating her. There's also an implication of sexual abuse because it was her husband. So, for someone like me, who is a survivor of this kind of a violence and abuse, this kind of content can't just be brushed aside without some kinds of heads up. Like when you're in the theater watching a film like this, if you know it's coming, you can prepare yourself. If you're hit like blindsided by it, it's really hard to prepare yourself. And then you're dealing with a bunch of things that you're not prepared to deal with while you're watching the film. And yeah, I held it together in the theater because I am a big girl and I know how to take care of myself. But when I walked to my car alone afterwards, I realized that my heart was pounding and I was triggered. When I started writing this review, I realized it had hit my fight or flight response. And when I get triggered like that, I get really angry. Like, I'm not one of those people that just run away. I fight. And this movie caught me off guard. And I am not asking for handholding. I do not like sappy warnings at the start of every film. I don't think we need to do like trigger warnings everywhere. But just a simple heads up in the description would have just made all the difference in the world. So here's what I have to say to studios. Hey, this isn't okay, man. You have a responsibility to your audience, especially when you're marketing a film like this that is clearly a date night thriller aimed at women. If you're going to center part of the story around abuse and trauma, say that somewhere in your materials. You don't have to make a big flashy scene of it. Just say it. Women will see it. Women will know. Give us a chance to decide whether we're ready for this film or not. Because if I had been on a date, this film would have ruined the night because I went in blind and I am not the only one who will feel this way. I'm just not. And what makes it worse is that this stupid subplot wasn't even necessary. It was not necessarily for her character. Violett didn't need to be a victim of abuse to make the story work. She could have been a single mom who lost her husband in an accident, or a widow just starting to date again. But instead, the filmmakers used trauma as shorthand for depth of character. And that's just lazy storytelling. So, final thoughts here. Yeah, drop will work for some people. If you're just in it for the thrill ride or hot leads, because hey, they are really hot in this film and they're easy on the eyes when you're watching it. I think you really like it because it is a decent thriller and a great date night film with a solid premise. If you can get past the science and those little tech snafus that I mentioned, which most people can, I think you'll be entertained. If abuse against women in films upsets you, just know that this is a subplot and you'll probably be fine with it. You'll just be prepared for it. But if you are super sensitive, you may want to wait and watch this film on streaming, if at all. So, yeah, in some cases, drop is definitely ticket worthy, but it's definitely a personal decision on this one as to whether or not it is a fit for you. If you found this review helpful, please do give it a like and share it with someone who might need a heads up before watching the movie. And be sure to subscribe. And also, the algorithm on YouTube, it's not likely to like this video because of some of the words that I've used to honestly share my reaction with you. So if you think someone needs to hear what I have shared here, please do give this video a thumbs up and like it, because YouTube will bury this review otherwise. I've had this happen. If, when you use certain words, it just buries reviews. So please do like this so that other people who might need to see this can see it. It really does matter to the algorithm and to me and to others. Thanks so much, everybody. While you're here, why not check out one of these videos? And I'll see you all again soon. In the meantime, happy viewing and bye for now.